A second batch of 183 evacuees from Poland arrive at the Evacuee International Airport, Abuja, at about 6:30 p.m. At hand to receive them is a joint government team led by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Mrs. Sadia Farouk. The evacuees are mostly students. Behind me, the second set of Nigerians that have been evacuated from Ukraine. Many of them have longed to return to their fatherland after Russia attacked Ukraine, devastating the economy of the country and setting many people on the edge. They are taken through some COVID-19 protocols, including testing for the virus, while also undergoing documentation procedures.
Our government has been very, very proactive. Mr. President has done all the needful, and he directed that all Nigerians living in these countries should be brought back home in safety and in dignity, and that is what we have done.
The war in Ukraine has claimed hundreds of lives, with about 1 million people reportedly displaced amidst rising humanitarian crisis. These young Nigerian evacuees narrate their experiences of the conflict.
There was panic up and down. The stores were all cleared out. Yeah, we're just all worried and hearing the sirens and everything.
It was so devastating because in my life I've never seen people dying.
We were traumatized because we are not ready. We are not mentally ready for this.
But they are glad the Nigerian government came through for them.
People came through for us. Nigerian government came through for us. They kept checking on us, so it gave us hope that we could still survive it, and we did.
Out of the 183 evacuees from Poland, 180 are adults and 3 infants. The government says at least 60 more Nigerians may have been left behind in Poland, as it expresses worries over more than 300 Nigerians still trapped in a part of Ukraine considered unsafe.
There are still a lot of Nigerians that have not even decided to leave Ukraine. You know, that's one. Two, we still have over 350 students in Sumy College, which has been cut off. You know, they can't go to Russia, they can't come in. You know, their light was being restored now. At the time it was cut off, water was cut off. So as soon as we are through with the safe corridor, we will be able to go for those ones too.
And as the evacuees from Poland are cleared, another batch of 174 evacuees, including children, arrives at about 11:25 p.m., this time from Hungary. Physically exhausted, mentally distressed, some try to avoid the camera. They are also taken through the protocols in place and are documented. They too have a story to tell.
I got injured. I sustained a lot of injuries. My leg, I was limping for like 3-4 days. And like, we didn't get a shower for like about 4 or 5 days. Sometimes we don't even remember if we've eaten that day, if we've drank water or anything.
Outside the hall, their families wait desperately to receive them, and the joy of those whose words have arrived knows no bound.
Oh, I don't know what I will say. I thank God. I just thank God. Yeah.
How do you feel meeting Mommy?
I feel good, great, happy, thankful that I am safe to meet her.
Foremost, I felt happy because I now know, yes, the situation is not as I expected it to be in the first place, because my government, which is Nigerian government, has done all the needful that is required of any government.
More than 5,000 Nigerians, mostly students, were caught up in the Ukrainian crisis, many of whom have fled to neighboring countries. The Nigerian government plans to evacuate those willing to return in a matter of days, a commitment projected to grab the sum of $8.5 million. It's a feeling of joy on one side that they are back home away from the devastating effect of the war in Ukraine. But on the other hand, they're not happy because their studies somehow has been interrupted. They are hoping that the war in Ukraine will end very soon and they will go back to their school and fulfill their dreams. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
It's a mixed bag, really. I mean, it's heartwarming to see that exactly 1,079 Nigerians, most of them students, have been evacuated from, well, Romania, Hungary, Poland as a result of the war in Ukraine. There are about 350 other Nigerians in a place called Sumy, which is a city close to the border with Russia, the Ukrainian border with Russia. And over the past few days, we have seen heart-wrenching videos from them about their situation, how they've not been able to leave, how they're running low on supply. In fact, some of them have to melt ice just to get water. And I'm talking some days ago. So there are questions as to what is being done to get them out. Yes, the Nigerian government has earmarked $8.5 million to evacuate Nigerians. So far, we've seen over 1,000, but still Nigerians who want to come home, but they're not able to. And we're making a case for these people this morning. And we're joined on the program by one of them. His name is Daniel Boru Ejimade, who's a medical student at the Sumy State University in Ukraine. He joins us via Zoom this morning. Daniel, it's good to have you on the program. Let me just begin by asking how you're faring this morning.
Personally, this morning it's just a roller coaster of emotions because, like, you know, for the past few days, there's been no electricity. There's been no water. So the electricity and the water, they just came back on like yesterday or so. In my hostel, they came back like 2 days ago. But right now, even as the electricity is back, my hostel, we don't have water. Some hostels, they didn't have water and electricity. So they just got water and electricity back. So, like someone said, like you even lost track of how many times you've bathed. Sometimes you even forget about eating, like you forget about food basically. Supplies are running low in the supermarkets. Even to withdraw cash, it's very hard because the ATMs are not even dispensing. So at this point, it's, you know, there was no panic at first because we all thought, okay, yeah, we still had the light, electricity, food supplies. So we're still like, you know, everybody was still feeling okay. But the moment the lights went out, including me, I began to panic a little bit because that's when we realized that like this is getting real. So some people even tried heading out, but they were sent back. Some headed out successfully. So right now it's just like a roller coaster of emotions. Like, I don't know, it's, you know, it's conflicting emotions. You are angry because you're like, what's happening? Why are you keeping me here? At the same time, you're scared of heading out because you don't know what you will meet on the road. And you're also scared of your supplies running out. So it's just a roller coaster of emotions, honestly.
Well,
personally, this morning.
If you don't mind me asking, I mean, I can only imagine. I can't, you know, pretend to even understand what you're talking about. But this situation, power outage and all, is this something that ever happens, or this is the first time ever?
This is the first time since I came to Ukraine back in 2018 that we had power outage. So, like, since I've been in Ukraine, there has never been power outage in my hostel. I can't remember when. So it was, should I say it was new to us. So power outage, water issues too, the same thing. So everything just went out all at once, and it was like the whole city.
Well,
so it's scary.
Was there any preparation? I mean, it's an emergency situation, so no one really wanted it to happen. But was there any kind of preparation by the school, any forethought or foresight as to this might happen, these are the contingencies that, as an institution, we should prepare for our students?
Well, I would say the only contingency or the only plan the school had was when, let me say, when like the attacks are getting close per se, like when the attacks are getting serious, each hostel has a bunker. So we head to the bunkers. So right now, once like they sound the alarm for an artillery airstrike, for example, like they just sound the alarm randomly and they'll tell us we should head to the bunkers. So I think that's like the only contingency plan the school had, just the bunkers. So, and you know, the thing is, students were actually telling the school that we're foreigners here, so we don't know how long this war will persist. And we don't want a situation whereby we'll be stranded here and the war has, gone overboard. So, but the school kept on telling us, like, don't worry, it won't go overboard, everything is fine, this and that, that and this. Well, now, if you look at the situation, every single city, neighboring city around us, they've all been evacuated. Sumy State University students were stranded here. Like, it's terrifying because you're talking to your friend who is in another city and he's telling you that he's already in another country at the moment. They're all praying for you. Like, at the moment, the only thing that can help us here is just prayers and maybe funds, because even the funds were even asking, like students are even asking their parents for a fund to leave this place. So I would say the only contingency plan the school had, personally, that I know of, was the bunkers, which they told us that whenever we hear the alarms or the sirens, we head to the bunkers. That's the only contingency. And also they provided some foodstuff, like they were able to give us foodstuff. But the question is, how long will this war persist? So if you keep on giving us foodstuff, like if it continues for a month, 2 months, 3 months, would you be feeding us? At a point, you, the Ukrainians, you'll run out of supplies also, and you also have your people to feed.
Clearly a very dicey situation, Daniel. So videos surfaced, and we showed some of them, you students protesting. So who was this targeted at? Was it the school authorities, the government in Sumy? Why is it difficult for you to leave? Who is holding you back, as it were?
Okay, personally, I think the video was just targeted to, I think I was personally, me, because I was actually in the video. I was present in one of the videos the other day. I was at the back. So that video was actually directed to both the government, both the school, anybody it could reach out to. It was just a video that we're making, let it reach out to people, because at this point, we don't know where the help will come from. So we're just reaching out to every single person, be it the Ukrainian government, be it the school authorities, be it the Nigerian government, be it even the EU or the UN, we don't know. So it was targeted to vast bodies. Let's just get out of here. And also, the thing is, people have tried leaving the city, and I kid you not, I have a group mate of mine, a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine. She left the city yesterday, and she went out successfully. Some students left, they went out successfully. Some students left, but they told them to come back. So the school now is saying, we should not head out, it's dangerous and all. Yeah, we know it's risky, but at the same time, students are leaving, and they're not facing difficulties. Why? Because they are foreigners. So
Daniel, quickly, pardon me, who told them to come back?
Now, most of them that came back, there were two different stories. Some said they met the Russian troops who told them to come back. Some others said it was the Ukrainian soldiers that told them to head back. So me personally, I haven't made the trip out, but some of my friends, from my friends that I heard, some said it was Russian troops that told them to head back. Some say it was the Ukrainian army, Ukrainian troops that told them to head back. So at this point, it's the two parties, it's the two countries.
Daniel, just before I flip this to my colleague in Abuja, last I heard from one of the students there, you were meant to be evacuated by 9 a.m. today. I hear there's been some sort of green light. Are you aware of that? Does that look like that will still happen? How many hours away are you from 9 a.m. right now?
Personally, I'm 16 minutes away, 18 minutes away from 9 a.m. right now in Ukraine. And at the moment, it's not happening. So we were told that there was a safe green corridor by 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's what we're told. So everybody was told to pack up and prepare. I myself, I was ready. Then early hours of this morning, we're told that they didn't reach an agreement with the Russian troops, or the Russian military. They didn't agree to honor the ceasefire. So the evacuation has been cancelled. At the moment, it's cancelled. So right now, it's just everybody trying to find their way out of it. The evacuation has been cancelled. From what I've seen so far, from the information received this morning, the evacuation has been cancelled. It's not happening. And we don't know when next such opportunity will come up again. So yeah, it has been cancelled.
Well, we're going to encourage you to keep hope alive. And I know that that's difficult to do when you continue to see that it would seem that help is not coming as quickly as you had thought it was going to come. But you must also realize that it's a war and that, you know, things are and can easily change at any point in time. So some students got out safely, they dared it and they got out safely. Some other students might not be so lucky because of the changing circumstances of the situation. So as much as possible, please stay where the authorities, the school authorities say you should stay. At least now there is an awareness. The Nigerian authorities are aware that students are stranded in Sumy, and they're still trying to make that arrangement to see how they can arrange a safe corridor. But in the meantime, you know, what is the source of information? Are they keeping constantly in touch with you?
Oh, yeah, the school actually created an international group, so for every single person in the school. So it's a Telegram group. So we're all there, so they keep us updated both on like the evacuation plans and also maybe like if there's going to be an airstrike or something. So on the Telegram group, we've been updated like daily on their plans and their movements and everything that would occur in the like everything that they're planning on in the coming days. So yeah, we've been updated by the school. As of recent, we've been updated by the school. Yeah.
What about the authorities? That's Nigerian government authorities. Are they able to reach you directly?
Okay,
Not just you. I mean, you and of course a host of other students who are stranded in Sumy.
Yeah, I think they are because there are some groups I'm on. So I think some people in those groups, they're in other groups that maybe they have like one or two Nigerian authorities in those groups. So they bring informations to us too. So I think, yeah, they are reaching out to us like via other students who are in other groups too. Other like maybe WhatsApp group, Telegram groups or something. Yeah. They are keeping us updated to the Nigerian government.
Have you been able to form... Have you been able to form a group in such a way, I mean, a connected group in such a way that if, for instance, there is news that there is an evacuation, they finally be able to secure that safe corridor? All of you can leave almost at the same time without anyone being left behind.
Yes, yes. The school already made a general, like every single foreign student in Sumy State University, I think we're all in that particular group. Then aside from us being in that particular group, there are other groups that, so let's say for example now, I get the information from that Sumy State University group. I can now share it in the other groups I'm in. So just in case students who are not in that Sumy State University group, they see this message on time. So I'm on like 4 or 5 Telegram groups, and those 4 or 5 Telegram groups, at the same time, the information, like any information drops, someone in those groups sends them to the same, to other groups to immediately. So I can see like the same message from maybe the first group I'm in the other 4 groups at the same time. So at this point, everybody is like they are updating everybody back to back. So if you're not in one group, you must be in the second group, definitely. If you're not in the second group, you must have a friend who is in the second group who will keep you updated. So yeah, we're all in Telegram groups regarding the evacuation.
Okay, so tell us about, you know, the current situation of things. And I know that anxiety will be one of the things that you might have, I mean, especially when the sirens go off and when you have to go into the bunkers. But generally, would you say that your fellow Nigerians there, are they calm or they are so anxious? Are you able to sleep, for instance?
Personally, okay, personally speaking for myself, I'm actually like the calm type. So like, even if I'm under the situation, like my dad, I even spoke to my dad, so he like calmed me down and all. But if I'm speaking for, that's me speaking for myself. But I'm speaking for the Nigerian students here, they're not calm. Like, I can feel the tension. They're all anxious, and I won't blame them because personally, I have an instance. Was it not? I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago, there were 5 bomb shellings before 10 a.m. in my city here. And one of them, I personally heard it. So that kind of thing, it has like increased the anxiety in the students here. So it's even hard to even calm them down. I won't blame them. Because with each day passing, like we hear the news of the ceasefire and all, but still, we're still waking up to bomb shellings. So it's getting scary for them and also, personally speaking for the Nigerian students here, everybody is anxious. We just want to just leave. Like everybody just wants to just get out of here as quick as possible. Because it's getting scary every day. Because you don't know, okay, today now you're waking up with bomb shellings. Tomorrow, what if, God forbid, it's your building that gets hit? So it's getting scary. So day by day, we don't even know what to expect. So there's anxiety, there's fear. there's even, should I even say anger, because like, you know that moment when you've tried everything and it just seems like nothing is working. So you're just angry, like what's happening? Like as per what's happening. So yeah, so I'll say anxiety, fear, everything is just, I would say that's like the mood at the moment now.
And it's totally understandable, Daniel, totally understandable. We will just urge, you know, to let you know that you are in our prayers. You and your fellow Nigerian students are in our prayers, and we'll continue to do all that we can to get your message out there until you are safely out. But in the meantime, what are comforts, what are creature comforts like? Are you able to, what's the food supply like? I know that you had expressed earlier fears that, you know, even the authorities could soon run out. But in the meantime, if you were to look at what you currently have and maybe perhaps access to be able to get more, how much longer would you say that the food supply you have can last you for?
Personally, the food supply I have, I would say if I'm going to like try and minimize or minimize what I have, it should take me for maybe 2 weeks max or 3 weeks, because even to head out to the stores, like due to the power outage, like I said earlier, due to the power outage, some stores didn't open up and some stores are completely shut. So like the stores are being shut and you don't even know where to get your next food from. So why I'm able to have some food supply that can last me for like maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks is because like when it started, I went and I did a mass, you know, buying of groceries. So that's why I was being able to, you know, secure something. And the things I have, even for them to last me for those 2-3 weeks, I have to really reduce the way I eat, you know, watch the way I eat. I have to like proportion it. So sometimes like there was a day I went throughout that day without even eating food. All I was just eating was just biscuit and drinking water. Like at the point you won't even feel like the hunger might not even be there again. So that is why the food may even last, because the hunger, you might not even feel the hunger again. So personally for me, I would say like my own food stuff, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks max. Even the 3 weeks is still under probability. And I feel, and I know, I know there are people out here who may even have less. So,
well, I believe that a sense of community will certainly prevail in that respect. But how is it? I know it's still winter in Ukraine right now. So how are you coping with the temperatures? I can see that there's electricity where you are. Is the heating still okay?
Yeah, the heating system is working. But, you know, some of us in the hostels, we had to buy our own personal heaters. So even with the heating system, we still have to buy our own personal heaters, because in Ukraine here, like the cold is really severe. Like sometimes it can get to minus 25 degrees Celsius. So, and it's winter time and there's snow everywhere. Like literally it's white everywhere because snow is everywhere and all. So it's even like, it's very cold. So the heating system is working quite well. Yeah. But also, we also need like personal heaters in our room just to make us very warm, because we're not used to such cold. Minus 25 degrees Celsius, it's very cold. So yeah, I'll say, yeah, the heating system is working.
We're going to ask you to just hold on, you know, keep hope alive. Don't cut off the line yet. We're going to be speaking right away to Honorable Yusuf Buba, who is the Chairman, Foreign Affairs Committee in the House of Representatives. A number of the people in that committee have been able to come to, I think they went to Poland to be able to evacuate Nigerian students who have been able to make it across the border. Good morning, Honorable, and I'd like to find out from you if your team is still going to be going back with Nigerian officials to see how they can evacuate even many more Nigerians who might be stranded in Ukraine.
Thank you so much. You know, the work of the National Assembly is to oversight the activities of the executive. We are in Romania, and from what we have seen, we are very much satisfied with what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other relevant agencies are doing, more especially our embassies. So far, the coordination is good, and everything is working according to plan. And that was why when we came back with the first batch, you can see that other batches have been coming in successfully. So far we are in touch with the ministry, and we have not seen any hitches to warrant or going out immediately. Again, we are monitoring.
Okay, so I'm sure you must have been listening to the conversation we have been holding with Daniel, who is stranded alongside other students in Sumy in Ukraine. Do you have any word, any update on how we intend to get out our students who are stranded in Sumy out of that place?
Yes, I want to assure the students in Sumy, their parents and Nigerians that the Nigerian government is really on top of the matter. All the Nigerian government is trying to assure is their safety. That was why, as of yesterday, because on daily basis I communicate with the ministry, with the permanent secretary, and what they want to achieve is to have a tripartite agreement between the Russian government, the Ukrainian government, and also the United Nations. So that talk is ongoing, so that by the time this evacuation will start, the students will be safe. It's not good to take chances because we are in a war situation. But our government is talking with these three different groups, that is the Ukrainian government, the Russia, and the United Nations. And I want to assure these students that they should be calm. I know it's difficult to be calm, even for adults in a situation like this, but that they should be rest assured that the government is not sleeping. I monitor the ministry on hourly basis, and they are not sleeping. They are working on the Sumy issue, and I'm sure soonest this agreement will be reached, and the students will be evacuated to safety, just like is happening in other parts of Ukraine.
Right. Honorable, maybe by way of information to Daniel and the over 300 Nigerians still in Sumy. So the word was they were meant to be evacuated this morning by 9 a.m. and it's almost 9 already. Daniel says it has been cancelled. And I imagine the apprehension, the confusion, especially when you're not hearing a reason as to why the evacuation, the planned evacuation was cancelled. So by way of an update, so they understand what's happening, do you have an idea why that evacuation was cancelled?
Well, I don't want to say evacuation is cancelled yet because it's still within the time, though I have not made any contact this morning. But as of yesterday night, the plan is that the evacuation will take place this morning around 9. But as we said, we are not in a normal situation, so a delay within some hours will not be too abnormal. But after this interview, I will make contact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and get updated with what is really happening. As of up to yesterday night, the arrangements were in top gear, and I pray and I hope that it is not cancelled, something will happen soonest.
Well, even at that, we understand the Foreign Affairs Minister, in a message he put out on Twitter, had raised a challenge of procuring vehicles to move the students. Could that be part of the reason for the delay?
Well, I will not know what is the reason for the delay since I have not spoken with the ministry this morning. But as of yesterday, what they were trying to achieve was to get a tripartite arrangement, and I think that was achieved as of yesterday. But for this morning, I won't know why there is a slight delay. But I hope if it is just for vehicles, that will be definitely overcome. The ministry are working, and I am confident that this evacuation will take place, and all our students will be evacuated to safety by the grace of God.
Just to be clear, Honorable, this tripartite arrangement you talked about is between who and who?
Between the Ukrainian government, the United Nations, and the Russian government. so that, like the young man said, some of the students that tried to go out on their own were asked to go back, either by the Russian government or by the Ukrainian government. He was not sure. So the whole place is under control of either the Ukrainians or the Russians. And the United Nations is also talking to both parties to see that this safe corridor is made available so that all civilians that want to move out safely without any accidents. So that is why it is very important in situations like this to remain calm and keep talking with the coordinating authorities before making any moves. And I am sure that these students will be safe. And since their situations is fully being taken care of by both the Ukrainian authorities, the school authorities, and also the Nigerian government, specifically the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I am sure with a little patience, we will come over it very soon.
Well, Honorable, it's just, almost 8 a.m. here in Nigeria, meaning that it's about 9 a.m. there in Sumy. But it's quite reassuring to hear you say that that evacuation plan is still on, even though a bit delayed. But we're due for a break now. But when we return, we'd like to hear just how dicey this situation is, getting that tripartite agreement, getting, the governments on board. I'm talking about the government of Ukraine, Russia, and the UN. I mean, don't forget there's been a lot of controversy around that. So perhaps also by way of information to understand what's going on, we'd like to get some insight into that as well as other issues in a moment. So please stay with us. Closing moment with Honorable Yusuf Buba, who is the chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee at the House of Representatives, and Daniel Boro Ejimade, who is a medical student in Sumy State University, Ukraine. So, Honorable, just before we went on that break, I was trying to get a sense of how dicey this is, because I know there was the agreement, or there was said to be that agreement during the peace talks, to have a safe corridor for evacuation and supplies and all that. But then both countries are accusing each other of breaking that agreement, as it were. Russia saying, well, it was Ukraine that broke it. Ukraine saying it was you that fired, and all of that. So how tricky is getting the students out, the Nigerians who are stuck in Sumy right now?
That is why for every responsible government must be sure that there is a concrete arrangement between the three parties. The Ukrainian government, the Russians, and then bringing in the United Nations to be sure that there is a deal before moving these students, because we don't want to take chances with the lives of our students. So the best bet now is to try to calm down the students while governments try to secure this agreement between the two parties, with the United Nations being part of it. Then safety of the students will be guaranteed to be moved. So I'm sure that will be reached, because none of these governments want to hurt any civilian deliberately, both the Russian and the Ukrainian governments. None of them want any civilian to be hurt. So I am sure to avoid any controversies or accidents, that is why our government, under the supervision of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, wants to make sure that the corridor is safe before movement. This will be done, it will be achieved. It just needs a little more of patience from all parties. But I am very, very sure it will be achieved. And no single child will be hurt. Everybody will be evacuated to safety.
Well, the case of Sumy, the case of Sumy is quite delicate because it's very close to Russia. But I just want to know quickly, what kind of assurances are you getting from the Ukrainian government and the Russian government in getting those students out? Because it's important to know their state of mind.
Channels TV going.
Okay, I think that was Daniel, but go ahead, Honorable.
That's why I'm saying our government have been up and doing. They have not been sleeping. They have been working around the clock, making contact with all parties. And I want to assure you that before they will start moving the students, they must be definitely sure that the corridors are safe and these children will be moved to safety. We are close to that, and it will be achieved soonest by the grace of God.
Okay, let me take this back to Daniel, and first, I mean, see how he's internalizing some of the things you have said, Honorable. So, Daniel, you have listened to the Honorable speaking regarding the evacuation plan, saying, well, it's still on, even though it's, what, about 6 minutes past 9 where you are, which was 9 was a scheduled time for the evacuation. So, hearing that this evacuation is still on, and then the situation between Russia and Ukraine, yes, there's been a safe corridor, but countries are accusing themselves of breaking that. How are you internalizing that? Where does that put you right now?
The news of the evacuation still being possible, it's giving me like a glimpse of hope that, okay, yeah, so that means maybe something can still be done. Then I'm looking at them saying, like, you know, the Russian and Ukrainian, you know, having conflict, like saying this one fired first, this one fired first. It's just funny to me because, like, everything we've seen so far and what we've experienced so far, it's the aggressors who are the ones that I would say are taking action. So if it's regarding them blaming who and who, it's the aggressors. It's the aggressors who are the ones who are like the ones that are, should I say, causing the whole commotion and all. Yeah, the aggressors are the ones who are causing the whole commotion. So I don't know why there's a tussle between who is shooting first and who is not shooting first. From what we've seen here, we know who is attacking first. We know who is, you know, who is attacking first and who is the aggressor in this whole situation. So that aside, like I said, since they said the evacuation is still, like, they're still making plans for it to still happen today, yeah, I'm still having hope. And hopefully, because, yeah, like you said, right now it's 9:07 a.m. here. So I'm still having a glimpse of hope that, okay, yeah, since they said it's still, talks are still going on at the moment and they're still, you know, looking for a way to make it possible still today, I think I'll just clench to that little hope I have, and let's just see that hopefully it goes through.
Okay.
Hopefully
well,
it goes through.
Just before we let you go, Daniel, just wanted to ask you, what's your state of mind? And if you can also gauge the state of mind of your fellow students. You've spoken about their anxiety level and all, but in terms of general state of mind, how significantly is that affecting the well-being of everyone?
Well, regarding the state of mind, like I mentioned earlier, the anxiety and all, at the moment, I'll not lie, it's actually making people to even make, should I say rash decisions at this moment, because the anxiety level is increasing, the panic level is increasing. So, and that is making students here, you know, begin to make decisions that are like, I won't blame them for the decisions personally, because even if I had the opportunity, I would make such decisions, you know. Everybody's trying to find a way out. So at this point, it's just putting, like, your mind is not at rest. Basically, everybody's mind is not at rest here, because you don't know what will happen the next day. Okay, if today finishes now, if today is over, what are you going to see, or what will happen tomorrow? So everybody's on their toes at the moment. We don't know what's happening. We don't even know if, God forbid, you don't even know if tomorrow the building you're in will get hit. So at this point, everybody is just making everybody, you know, begin to look for a way out, like panic everywhere. I'm just still trying to keep my cool. Well, personally speaking, I am panicking. Like, I'm panicking, but I'm just, you know, composed, because at this point in time, you don't need to, like, you don't need to allow your panic overwhelm you, because you can now, you know, you might not be able to think clearly. And at this point in time, you need to think clearly. That's just the major thing. So yeah, the panic level, the anxiety, it's over the roof, and it's making students, like, you know, just move everywhere. Like, it's rowdy here. It's rowdy here. So that's just all I can just say regarding, like, my fellow Nigerian students here.
Well, Daniel, if this is any assurance, I'd want you to know that you're not alone in this. We're with you on this. We'll continue to keep, you know, the spotlight on your issues, ensure that we try at least to get all the help that you can get. You've listened to the Nigerian government, so please keep hope alive. We hope to see you in person very soon. But for now, we'll have to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Daniel Boro Jimade is a medical student at Sumy State University, Ukraine, joined us via Zoom this morning. We've also had Honorable Yusuf Bubauza, Chairman, Foreign Affairs Committee at the House of Representatives, giving us a side of the authorities on this one as well. And our sincere hope is that all of this ends in joy. Thank you so much for your time. Well, you always hear that there's a kinetic and non-kinetic angle to wars like this, but there's also another aspect, which is the psychological. You heard Daniel saying there that he's distressed. So we'll go to break, but we'll be back with this all-important conversation, so please stay with us.